Oh my God, this was a funny thread too. Oh, I save these sometimes when they're funny. This guy describes himself as average looking and says women won't date him because he's Middle Eastern, which is really funny because I'm pretty sure in America and in Canada, I don't think we even see Middle Eastern. It's just if you're dark enough, we'll call you brown. But if you're just like if you're like a light-skinned Middle Eastern person, people will find me on this, but I don't think in America we would think you're like if you saw Hassan in public, I think you're just thinking like, oh, it's a white dude. You're not thinking like, oh my God, that guy looks like he's from the Middle East. I don't think you're ever thinking that. Same thing with this guy. Oh my God. This guy's posting thinking that because he's 5'9", or maybe he said 5'11". No, he said 5'9", and he's Middle Eastern, that white women won't give him the time of day. I'm like, bro, in the United States, anybody looking at you is just going to think you're white. What are you talking about? Reading through this guy's comment history was so sad. Can you imagine? He's got posts where he's like, yeah, I think I'm just like an average looking dude. Imagine. It's so funny because if a girl were to write anything like this, she would be excoriated. She would be destroyed online. You know when women go to those subreddits where they're like, rate me, or like, am I ugly? r/am I ugly? And it's a girl's like a 9 out of 10. And she's like, do you think I'm ugly? Imagine if you're some 200-pound guy who's 21 years old, who's already 50% into his like male pattern balding phase, and you have a guy like this saying, yeah, I think I'm probably like an average looking guy. Bro, I would kill myself. I would kill myself. But it's really funny because he's got in his profile, if you read through his comments, I think he's like, yeah, I listen to Jordan Peterson every day, and he's taught me like, he talks about like hoflation. I can see him: Jordan Peterson, Chris Williamson, Tom Bilyeu, Alex Hormozy. Oh, we watched a thing by that. Andrew Huberman, and More Plates, More Dates. Oh, he posts on that subreddit too. 100% agree. I've been watching Jordan Peterson explain hypergamy, and it's getting worse if you're not a dude who earns more money than the majority of women. Also, go watch Chris Williamson with Alexander Date Psych on YouTube. They explain really well why men are struggling, but women are doing just fine. You guys ask me why I don't hit the gym more and why I don't get fashion. Listen, if I was who I was right now and I looked like this guy, it would be game over for me. I would 100 women a day, and I would never, ever turn my stream on ever again. I would be at clubs, bars. It would be over. I would be destroy this entire city. Okay, I'd have. Yeah, never mind. God, look at this guy. I just like, damn, how mind are you to look like this? I'd be like, yeah, I just think that women won't me because I'm 5'9". My God. Do you think he's above average looking? This guy, in terms of like entire body, yeah, this guy's like on the low scale, I'd say 8.5. This guy is super attractive. What are you talking about? And even with like a shirt on and stuff, like he's got a nice smile. He's got like a nice proportioned face. His hair looks fine. He's like, what is he, 29? Yeah, his hair looks fine. Like everything. Yeah, he's like, yeah, looks good with the shirt on, everything. This guy's super, yeah, 100%. I will say though, anybody that states an explicit preference for certain types of women is usually 9 out of 10 times going to be really fucking weird. So if somebody says like, oh yeah, I just try to date, especially brown people. No, not brown people. Especially Middle Eastern, Asian, and Hispanic people. When you see somebody who's like one of those three groups that are online saying how they only want to date white women, usually there's really weird shit going on there. There's almost always really weird shit going on there. Same thing with white guys who are like, I only want to date Asian women or whatever. Or, yeah. But I mean, I think that's generally true. Anytime people have like explicitly, it's part of their thing, they have like a racial preference, usually there's some really weird shit going on there. Wait, like what? It's not a racial preference. Their attitudes are really shit. And they think that if they can jump ship to a different race, that they can find women that are more likely to put up with their shitty behavior attitudes. Can you explain why women get away with that shit? Like almost all the Asian women are vocal about how they prefer white men. Because I think generally you can on men, and if you're a woman and you're like in that category, you can get away with saying retarded shit. But it is really gross though. Like, yeah, like it should be treated the exact same. Especially Asian people are really fucking weird about that crazy fetishization of white people. Asian women especially. That is really weird. But although I think there's a lot of weird dynamics at play. Something else is interesting in that There's so many dynamics at play. I haven't heard this from Asian people. I have heard this a lot from Middle Eastern people. I'm trying to think if I've heard any Hispanic people say this. I don't think I've heard any Hispanic people say this. For Middle Eastern people, when I hear Middle Eastern women talk about how they want to date white men, I think that when they say white men, what they really mean is they're doing like the opposite of a passport bro thing, to where passport bros might go to the Middle East or something because they're like, I really want a traditional woman. But sometimes educated women from the Middle East are like, I really want to get away from these traditional men. So I have heard that. I've heard that several times from Middle Eastern women who are like, I don't want to date guys that earn less than me and treat me like shit. Or I don't want to date guys that think I'm like a baby production machine. And these guys are like literally second children. Like I have to adopt this man who can't take care of himself. I don't know if that's as true for Asian women or not, because I feel like I'm borrowing a lot of anecdotal here. I feel like the Asian men that I meet aren't like tradcon traditional men. So it doesn't make sense for Asian women escaping those Asian men. But also a lot of the Asian people that I know are going to be like San Francisco, LA Asian guys in like tech communities. So maybe that's not representative. I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know. There's also a perception of white people being rich. There's an element of status for Asians if they date a white person, in my opinion. Yeah, for ussies, I mean, I understand that in the East, but that doesn't really make sense in America, right? Because in America, bro, every Chinese girl I've hooked up with, these people, like, if I'm visiting them, I need a gate code because they always live in gated communities. They always have huge fucking houses. They're always from hugely wealthy families. Although, again, to be fair, I lived in Southern California. These people were always fucking loaded, though. But maybe, but I feel like on average, it's got to be true that on average, median income, white versus Asian family, household, USA. The Asian one has to be significantly higher. Oh, income. I don't want wealth. I want income. The household median income for Asian Americans in 2021 was $101,418. That's 43% greater than the national median income. What are white Americans at? Racial wealth snapshot. Why do we not have white on here? Indians are by far the wealthiest households, but they're pretty low on the totem pole of dating. Yeah, that's true too. It could be that white is associated with wealth, though, and that's like a generationally inherited bias. It doesn't make sense in the environment in the USA, but like people might inherit it, the bias, and they come over here and they still have it. So it'll be bred out in like a generation or two. Sorry, I meant from when I speak to my family/friends back in Taiwan. It's also pretty funny how psycho the Taiwanese/Chinese incels are, and how they talk about how white men take all the women. Oh yeah, I've heard that. I've experienced that. If you go with Tinder to any like Asian country, this was true in. I didn't have Tinder when I was in South Korea, but I went out a few times with Naniwa, and in where else have I been? Taiwan. In Taiwan, it's insane. If you go on Tinder, there's a white dude. It's like being a woman in America. It's insane. Yeah. To be fair, a lot of Asian dudes are pretty misogynistic at times, so a lot of Asian girls here choose not to date them. Think like comp/gamer type of dude who are really sheltered or not social. Yeah, I guess the problem is that like that might be true, but it's so hard for me anecdotally to grapple with that because most of the Asian guys that I know are pretty, I don't want to say meek, but they're like quieter gamer type dudes. Like I'm thinking of people like Albert, like Slightly Musical. That was his name, right? Like that dude wasn't misogynistic at all. Or most of the Asian gamer dudes I knew, all of these guys were super chill. So like anecdotally, that doesn't synergize with what I'm thinking. But it could be true on a wider spectrum. I just don't have that firsthand experience. How do you pull Destiny? I usually buy boots with really thick inserts at the bottom so that I can appear 6'1" instead of my ordinary height of 5'4". I'll try to run a Lamborghini so that if a woman is hypergamous, she can see that she'll upgrade based on the car type that I'm in. I'll usually try to hire 3 or 4 really attractive prostitutes to hang out with me who are 18, 19 max so that she can see that I am signaling high social value. And then after I start talking to her, I'll hold the conversation for about 60 seconds max before ignoring her. So that she sees that I have better and more important things going on in my life. Oftentimes I'll give her my phone number and my Instagram. The phone number will always be the wrong number, so she feels like I don't give a but she'll let my Instagram so that she can DM me afterwards. These are all like the super high level tricks that I employ to maximize my pull. It's very easy to get this in China. Okay, guys, we need to finish this video. We barely even started. What is this?
Like, it's very easy for you to get laid in China as a foreigner. Get laid, get your dick sucked. It's easy to get bitches if you are a foreigner. Like, I don't want to say this, but it's truth. Because a lot of girls are curious about erotic culture, like a different culture from them. So if you're from a different culture from them, they will be curious about you. How do you know? Because no comment. What about BBC?
Okay.
Like,
does this work for blacks too? I think it might be a little bit harder for blacks because I think there's a lot more racism in Eastern culture against blacks. I don't think black people would have the same. I don't think they would have the same luck. Maybe with some people you like can hyper score, but with other people I think you would. I think it would generally be harder. I'm always reminded of the. God, this fucking. No, this one.